Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to feel, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed, when we bent there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun. We've not lost it.
I spent the morning at an old friend's grave. Flowers and amazing grace, he was a good man. He spent his whole life spinning his wheels, never knowing how the real thing feels. He never took a chance or took the time to dance. And I stood there thinking as I said goodbye, today's the first day of the rest of my life. I'm gonna stop looking back and start moving on, and learn how to face my fears, love with all of my heart and make my mark. I wanna leave something here, go out on a ledge without any net. That's what I'm gonna be about. Yeah, I wanna be running when the sand runs out. 'Cause people do it every day, promise themselves they're gonna change. I've been there, but I'm changing from the inside out. That was then and this is now. I'm a new man, yeah, I'm a brand new man. And when they carve my stone, they'll write these words here.
I come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses, and He walks with me and He talks with me.
Sin is the issue between us and God. And he said, I know. He says, that's what I want you to tell me. So I prayed, Steve prayed, and asked Jesus to forgive him of the sin in his life and to commend his life. And things just happened very quickly right there. Things happened very quickly. The reason I wanted to share that because I thought this morning while I sat down to pray about what would I say today, what would I read today, what would make a difference today. And the thought come to my mind, I've got Steve's picture here on my stand where I was reading. And I kept looking at it and I thought, if Steve could talk to us today, what would he say? And so I'm going to read to you what I think Steve would say to us, knowing what he knows now. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, but the darkness has not understood it. There came a man who was sent from God. His name was John. He came as a witness to testify concerning that light, so that through him all men might believe. He himself was not the light. He came only as a witness to the light. The true light that gives light to every man coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made through him. The world did not recognize him. He came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. Yet to all who received him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. Children born not of natural descent, or of human decision, or a husband's will, but born of God. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. There was a tremendous understanding in that scripture about the light that came into the world that would light us, and his name was Jesus. And where Stevie is now, he could tell us things about that we don't even know about yet. And I believe he would want us to have an understanding of that scripture today about who Christ is and why he came. I want to say a little bit about Psalm 23. Most of us are familiar with Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet water. He restores my soul. He guides me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. David here is talking about walking through the valley of the shadow of death. We're all going to walk there. For Steve, when he got in that valley, a wonderful thing began to happen, because it says in the shadow of the valley. There has to be light in order to have a shadow. One of the verses that Jesus gives us early on when we come to him, he says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Right down to from the beginning to the end, Jesus is the one that matters. He's the one that leads us. He's the one that guides us. He's the one that sustains us. He's the one that stays with us. And he's going to walk us right into the door of heaven. It is his light in the valley that brightens the way. And though it's death, it has no victory over us. And it is him that we see, the light at the end of that tunnel. We can walk right on through the valley, right on out. He restores our soul for those who left behind with the grief and the loss of Steve. He comforts us. He gives us peace. He says, I have come that you might have life that more abundant and free. That life is his life imparted to us. It encourages us. It strengthens us. It heals us. It renews us. It comforts us. It gives us peace and joy in the middle of all kinds of things. Ralph, I was over and had coffee with Ralph and Judy this morning, and Ralph gave me a short note that he wrote. He says, I wrote that to Steve. I wanted to read this to you because it describes somewhat of what I just talked about. Dearest son, though you have this world behind, you're in a much better place and no longer in pain. No one knows how much I miss you at the kitchen table having coffee and just chatting in the early morning. Supper will not be the same without your presence. I know you're here in my heart and always will be. But that doesn't ease the pain of you not being here. We'll be together in heaven someday, and I will remember all the good and fun times we had. I love you, son. Love, Dad. That's the wonderful thing about relationships that we form in this life. Is we get people within us, with each other, all about us, who we are. And I want to encourage everyone standing here. Be real careful with each other. Learn to love each other. Let each other have a lot of room to be silly, stupid, and make mistakes. Because there's no perfect people here. And what we put in value for one another is